So I don't really know where to start. I wanted to make a YouTube video, but I also made a promise to myself years ago when I started all of this that I would be really honest about everything and like authentic, and that was the purpose of it, right? That was the point. And I find I'm just justifying every time I do something like this because I feel weird about it. Last time I posted, I think I was just talking about posting more, and I can't remember. I think I was talking about posting more and getting into bodybuilding and being excited. Since then, I had to put Simba down on a Friday because he was having neurological issues. He could not walk anymore. His pupils were dilated to the point of people saying it was a reflection of his pain for like 72 hours. Wasn't eating, wasn't going to the bathroom. It was the hardest decision I've ever had to make. And then 9 days later, my dad died. If you know me, you know I have a very close relationship with my dad. A very like cliche daddy's little girl. I could say endless things about how wonderful my dad was, and it's only been a couple of weeks and I think I'm still in shock. Ultimately, it came down to him having liver issues, a lot of different side effects, and also other things within his body that we were hoping he'd be able to get a liver transplant and we'd be able to go from there, but his body wouldn't have accepted it in the state that it was in to even try. At the end, he was refusing medication, and then was only able to be awake for a couple of minutes at a time, and then he slept for about 24 hours and then passed away early in the morning. I flew to Florida to see him, and when I got to see him, he was asleep and couldn't wake up, so I didn't really get to talk to him or anything, but that's been hard for obvious reasons. I was in Florida from, I don't even remember, I think it was Thursday to Monday or maybe Friday to Monday, and I was on my way to the airport when I found out that my friend at work died as well. I had only gotten to know him for a month. He was the person that I was replacing in the role that I'm in, and I spent a lot of time with him. I saw him before he left to go to Florida, and he was gonna spend time with me when I got back to make sure I was okay, and he was gone. I find that I'm not talking about really any of it because I find that I can't. For example, like Simba used to wake me up every morning, and he'd want to cuddle. Like I'd literally hold him like this. And I had him for half my life, so it's just something that you get used to. And Boba typically doesn't he doesn't like to cuddle or be held like that. He still doesn't. And one of the first mornings that I was home from my dad passing, Boba jumped up, same way Simba used to, and it was just like the loss of not having him. It's really hard. I don't know if I've shared much of this, but I have a lot of siblings. I've always taken on the responsibility of just taking care of people in my family and making sure they're okay. I felt a lot of guilt when I moved to college, and then I felt a lot of guilt when I moved to Colorado. And Colorado was harder, very different reason. Not even for like the distance aspect. Like I think
college was harder because it was like the first time I wasn't around them, whereas like Colorado felt like a different kind of decision. Like it made me feel guilty around the fact that I made the decision to be away from my family. Whenever I would get stuck in that feeling of just really beating myself up, I would call my dad, and I think it was subconscious. I don't even think it was something that I even realized until this past week, and I started to feel really sad because we had my dad cremated, and he was obviously in Florida, and they hand deliver the ashes, and the person that could receive them is my little brother, and he's just been an absolute champion of this entire situation, and alone for most of it, and it just breaks my heart. And when he was delivered, I was just devastated that I wasn't there for him, and that's when it hit me. It's like I just really wanted to call my dad. He was always so gentle with me and reassuring and kind. He had this great way of discrediting what you were saying without invalidating you, and he was just the best dad. I know my family's hurting from the loss as well, which is also hard. And then I come home and I don't have Simba here, and then I go to work, and it's like everyone there worked with him for 6 years, and he would text me every day saying like, how are you doing, and make sure I was like transitioning into the role well, and he like really advocated for me to get this job. And it's hard to navigate. I have a lot of feelings around the whole thing, in terms of like how I'm interacted with, how I want to be interacted with, how I sometimes don't know. There's so many, like, it varies from day to day of if I'm feeling super sad or if I'm angry, or if I seem completely fine, and I feel not fine ever, but like I feel like I can function. Grief is portrayed in a way on media to be this thing where you are like in bed, don't move, days pass, and I guess it's not been that for me. And part of me feels like weird that like maybe I'm not grieving enough, and maybe I'm not sad enough, and that's crazy because I am consumed with it. But I think it's just the visual representation of what it's supposed to look like is subconsciously there. And I know better, I know differently, but I think it's just giving me more fuel to talk through how I'm feeling out loud and publicly and vulnerably without feeling shame around it. And just because I would love to make sure like someone else feels like they can feel as freaking chaotic and crazy. And the funny thing is I keep having strangers tell me like there's no right way to grieve, and however you grieve is the right way, and do whatever you need to do. And I almost find it annoying to be told that, just because it feels like you're almost given this like allotted, not disclosed time to do this. And like from all of my research, the average time that people even realize that they're still not okay at all is like 5 years. And I guess I'm feeling anxiety around the bereavement time that someone gives me running out, and how it's gonna vary from person to person, and how I'm gonna have to be strong in like my awareness of feelings, and also that like other people grieve differently. And yeah, there's just, it's a lot of layering. I don't even know if any of this is making sense. I wanted to give that update for obvious reasons. I think also I've just been sitting on doing this sooner rather than later. I didn't want to come on here and be able to like perfectly articulate everything in a way that just felt disconnected, or I don't know, just drop off the face of the earth again. My dad was so annoyed if I put my life on pause. I'm not sure there's anything that man hated more than when his kids were sad. And there's just so many things about him that I think if everyone was like that, they would be better. And I want to just do my best to be like him in those ways, while also still giving my space to myself to not ignore or neglect the feelings when they do come up. So now that you have context, because of all of this going on, I've been going so aggressively back and forth on whether or not I care about anything. Every third day, I decide that I don't want to do anything anymore. I don't care about the things that I want to achieve and yada yada. I just don't want to lean into that. Every time that comes up, I have to remind myself that like the best, happiest, stable version of me really, really wants these things. And the reason I'm feeling this way right now is because it's hard to envision my life. I'm essentially making sure that I am just showing up in the best way that I can. I've explained it to anyone that's listening to me talk. That I can only look at my life in 24-hour periods, and like if I do the best that I can in this 24 hours, then my 24 hours will add up and I won't have completely tapped out of everything. And that's my goal, is to not just abandon and lose more of my life to grief. I don't know, I'm finding in grief there's so much gratitude. The irony of the saying, two things can be true at once. The funny part about that saying is I kind of like ingrained it into myself for survival like a couple years ago, and just kept saying like both things can be true, both things can be true. And it was just because I found that I was feeling contradicting things all the time, and it made me almost like invalidate both. It was like I never landed on where I was, and I had a difficult time connecting with myself. And so I would just reiterate, like both things can be true, like they can live in tandem even if they're opposites. And this part of my life feels like that part of my life was necessary for here, because on my lowest grief days I don't understand how to perceive a future. I can't even see myself being happy again, like genuinely like feeling good. I don't know what that looks like. But I do want things for myself, and I don't want to succumb to that feeling. So even if I don't really know what it looks like, I just want to make sure, like I said, that I'm approaching it from a both things can be true. And I can want both things, and then I'm also gonna have some days where I just can only handle one. But it's just allowing like whatever that 24 hours is to exist that way, and not feeling guilt or shame around it, or like functioning out of capacity for somebody else's ability to handle me right now. Like emotionally, I feel like people get really defensive when I say this, but like emotionally I'm a lot right now. Like emotionally I have a lot going on, and I'm not sure I can like rehash things in a way that's like, no, I'm not doing well. Especially because like for the first couple of weeks, it's only been a couple of weeks, the first week, I would say a lot of people are asking me like, how am I doing all the time? And that was so frustrating for me at that time. I just found that to be dense, and I was like I felt so much more anger around people's concern than gratitude, and almost being mad that like other people didn't know how to interact with me as a grieving person. And this is just like, this experience has taught me so much already about, I don't know, like intention and what this even feels like for other people, because I had never experienced loss before last month. This month, it's still May. Yeah, I just wanted to say all of this and like come on here and have like a almost like debrief for the people that wanted it, like a proper update of where I'm at and why I just completely stopped posting the second I said I was gonna start posting more. That being said, I didn't want to post a vlog and just say like I'm not say anything. The funniest thing about all of this is I always said I would never cry on the internet, and now it's like exclusively what I do. Now that I'm absolutely exhausted, I'm going to drink this energy drink. Is that its new flavor? I don't know. Go to the gym. I'm gonna hit legs for the first time in I don't even know how long. I'm planning on potentially passing away. But And then I just have a million things that I want to do. I'm redoing my bedroom, and for good reason, like not redoing my bedroom, but it's just like things that I need to shift in my life. I'm like white knuckling my life. It has how things were. I'm white knuckling it, and I need to stop doing that emotionally. Like, if we're gonna be so transparent, like Simba was regurgitating his medicine. He wouldn't take it. The steroids that were supposed to help him, he wouldn't take it, and he would just regurgitate them and wouldn't. And he did that on some of my pillows, and I still don't wash them. Like, when I say like I need to do some of the stuff that I'm doing, like it's necessary. It just like makes me sick feeling like everything's hard. Thanks for watching.